Hello, this is Clive Hook from ClearWorth. Welcome to this short presentation, one of our ClearWorth Faster classes, on 6 conversations for team success. The idea is in 10 minutes or less we're going to go through this presentation, explain some of our thinking behind it, and perhaps give you some insights which you can apply back at work. So when we look at teams in ClearWorth, we think about 2 dimensions, outside, inside. We've been working with teams for over 20 years, run team building events, team away days all over the world, and we realise that the main focus in team building days is on things like structure and organisation, working for each other and continuous learning, which we see as pretty important. It's about building and developing the organisational strength. When we ask people on events, leadership events, team events, what makes a team successful, we'll always hear things like shared objectives, sense of commitment to each other, good communications, sense of trust between each other, some debate about whether leadership's a good thing or not, or whether a team needs a leader. All of those things have an internal focus. We think that that's important, building and developing the organisational strength. And if we talk about the 6 conversations, we have 3 conversations which are about those very things. Structure and organisation is how are we set up, and how often have we revisited that setup to make sure we're set up in the way that makes the job easy to do. Working for each other. Apart from any trust and commitment issues, the question can sometimes be, and the conversation can be around, how does our work fit with each other? Do we find we're duplicating efforts? Do we actually find that we're doing one thing that is reworked by somebody else? And then lastly, continuous learning. In our view, no team, organisation or individual, given the speed of change at the moment, should be doing the same thing they were doing a few years ago without questioning it and checking it really is still fit for purpose, and indeed seeking opportunities to learn from feedback, learn from experience, and notice what's going on in the outside world. And probably that's what brings us to what we see as much more important, and that's the external focus. We see that developing and maintaining working relationships with the outside world is in fact the key to success. We have 3 headings: success criteria, stakeholder management and delivering on promises. And our position is this dimension is much more important than the internal. Reality of commercial life is you can kind of limp along not doing very well on internal focus, get the external focus wrong, and the end can come quickly because you lose the support of your stakeholders, your supporters, your sponsors, your customers, whatever. So in brief, the 3 areas are success criteria are not, repeat not, the team success criteria. They're actually what's in people's heads when they choose to invest time, effort, or their money in this team, and what would make it a success. So this is a little bit like pictures in their heads. The picture people have of having the right return on their investment. That could be an easy life, that could be a luxury meal, that could be something done for them which they can't do themselves, whatever it is. Stakeholder management means focusing on stakeholders and giving them attention. Not just giving them attention, letting them know that you're in touch with them and you want to know how they feel about the experience and that they feel part of the experience. If you've ever sat in a restaurant or sat on a plane wondering what's happening with no contact from anybody, you'll know what a lack of stakeholder management feels like. And in the wider world, stakeholders, sponsors, supporters and customers don't like surprises, particularly nasty surprises. So letting them know what's going on, even when things aren't going as planned, is pretty important. And then delivering on promises. If you are an established team, then this is your reputation. If you're a new team, you have to prove that you can actually deliver on what you have either explicitly promised or what would be an implicit promise from the kind of service that you're in. So when you go to a restaurant, they may not actually put on the board what you can expect in terms of service, but you will have an expectation and you'll judge whether it's a good experience or not based on whether they deliver on that promise. So both sides have importance and are the total picture for team building and team development, but the conversations, in our view, must include the external focus. And if we had to choose, our position would be external focus is much more important than internal focus. The reason we see these as so important, and particularly the external, is because, in our view, external is about the business strategy. It's actually about how you make money, how you maintain viability as a team or as an organisation. It's where success is in fact defined. From our research, it's the strongest predictor of sustained success for a team or an organisation, and it's all about fostering trust and credibility. To emphasise again, internal is not unimportant. It's about the management strategy, and management strategy is how you organise your resources to deliver the business strategy. So it's about clarity and unity, but even more important in our view, it's about resilience, actually helping the team to deal with setbacks, to deal with what happens when things don't go as planned. So it's about using the power of team working. Overall, it's about becoming and remaining an attractive investment. And we use the term investment not because necessarily we're talking about shareholders, but that all stakeholders, supporters, sponsors and customers invest time and effort, if not money, in working with the team. And it's really important to pay attention to what they see as an attractive investment. Lastly, the way that we think about these elements, these conversations, are about visible and invisible. Now, for a time, penguins and icebergs were pretty fashionable, so if we overlay the famous iceberg model, those things which have an external focus are above the waterline. Success criteria, stakeholder management and delivering on promises. Reality is, this is what your stakeholders, sponsors, customers are actually interested in. They don't care about what's below the waterline unless it causes them an issue. So you need to be good at working for each other, structure and organisation and continuous learning, but unless it's visible, it's really not that important to your stakeholders. And as we said before, you can almost get away with having below standard, below the water, but you can't get away with the stuff that's visible to the outside world. So when we talk about conversations for success, we say that teams must have conversations which pick up success criteria, pick up stakeholder management, and pick up delivering on promises, and use feedback, surveys, all sorts of information sources to actually find out what the outside world thinks. And for us, the killer question is often, when was the last time you invited somebody from the outside world to your team building day or team away day? And our experience in organisations is almost never. So that's it. Less than 10 minutes, I hope. That's our 6 conversations for team success. There are many more articles and resources, all free, on the website. Please help yourselves to those, and we'd be pleased to tell you anything else you need to know about how the model works and how we actually apply it in real-life team development programs and initiatives. So again, thank you very much for listening. My name's Clive Hook from ClearWorth. This has been one of our faster classes on 6 conversations for team success.